It's here. It's happening. East and Gulf Coast ports are heading for a major strike at midnight. And take a look at this. U.S. shoppers, they start to stock up on essentials as port strikes pressure prices to go higher than ever. Americans at the grocery store are stocking up as port strikes could begin at midnight on Tuesday. That is tomorrow, October the 1st. And I'll let you guys know that we could see this coming here, and we're hearing there is no end in sight. This strike is going to be happening. Take a look. Port workers' strike could snarl the supply chain and bust your holiday budget. So in addition to, they're saying supply issues, there also could be price hikes. And take a look at a top story right now. Google search 13 minutes ago. Longshoremen strike deadline looms large over economy and election. 17 minutes ago from NBC News. East and Gulf Coast ports are heading for a major strike at midnight. 42 minutes ago from Reuters. U.S. East Coast port strike looms Tuesday with no talk scheduled. There is no talk scheduled. This is going to happen. 58 minutes ago from the New York Times. Strike deadlines near at ports from Maine to Texas. We're hearing the entire East and Gulf Coast is going down. And Associated Press 2 hours ago, U.S. port strike by 45,000 dock workers is all but certain to begin at midnight. Now, a lot of people concerned about what exactly is going to be unfolding here. Well, take a look. We're hearing mixed messages. We're hearing that it depends on how long this is going to be unfolding. But officials, they see no shortage from likely U.S. port strike. This coming out 18 minutes ago from New York. Listen to this. New York officials said on Monday that they were prepared for a likely U.S. dock workers strike, reassuring consumers that they would not lose access to food and other essential goods. We don't anticipate shortages of essential goods anytime soon, said Governor Kathy Hochul. People do not need to rush out to the grocery store and stockpile goods like they did during the pandemic. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's what they're saying, but we're also hearing it depends on how long it takes for them to actually come to some sort of an agreement. If an agreement is not reached soon and this carries on for longer than anticipated, they're saying that this could be an issue. So they're also saying there's a variety of different imports that could be impacted by this. We're hearing 50% of the imports that come into the United States are likely going to get hit by this strike. And so it depends. We're hearing medications, automotive, vehicles. There's an assortment of different things, foods, different types of products they're saying are going to be hit. Now, they've been anticipating this for a while. We've been getting these warnings since, I believe, July, if I remember correctly. They've been in negotiations, so we're hearing that a lot of different stores, facilities, places, they've been stocking up on supplies in anticipation of this strike, knowing that supplies are going to be in short supply. So we're going to see if they have enough stockpile to avoid any potential backups. But we're hearing if this takes longer than maybe a week or 2 weeks, we're going to be feeling some supply chain issues we're hearing down the road here. And this is a delayed impact that will unfold. So if we have issues now, this could start, hammering our economy and our supply in a month or 2 months or so, maybe right around elections. In addition, it just depends on how long it goes. And some are saying that it could hit the prices. So in addition to not having enough supplies, you could see with that supply and demand issue, prices begin to increase and uptick like we saw in that article. But again, there are some that are saying no, they don't think it's going to be an issue. Now, we will see. I will keep you up to date, but I'm going to share with you some video footage coming out on this so you can hear the latest reports that are unfolding. And like I said, a lot of this coming out in just the past couple of hours. Today, September the 30th, 2024, as we're now hearing that it is imminent. This strike is going to be hitting, and this is going to be unfolding. The United States' supply chain is going to get hit with this dock strike. They're saying that we haven't seen anything like this since 1977. So I'm going to get you caught up in the latest so you know exactly what is going on. And again, if you want to stock up, you're concerned that prices might be going up, that supplies might be in short availability right now, today would be the day. And in addition to that, also, if you need medications, we're hearing the medication arena is going to be hit. I've got a link in the description below to lifesavervault.com and other resources if you want to stock up and prepare right now. In addition to that, do me a favor, if you appreciate that, take a second, hit that like button for me. I see we've almost got 500 people on with me live. hit that like button, help spread this out further so more people can get the latest information. Also, hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Make sure you're staying subscribed to the channel so that way you don't miss out. We're hearing a lot of people getting unsubscribed from the channel. We think it has something to do with the YouTube settings. People getting unsubscribed, they didn't do it. They don't know why, so make sure that you are staying subscribed, and also turn on that notification bell to all, so that way as soon as breaking news comes out, you can be notified right away. And also, I cite all the sources for you. These articles are going to be linked in the description, but as you saw, all you got to do right now is go onto Google and type in port strike, and you will see all the articles coming out today as they're saying that this strike now is going to be hitting. It is imminent. There is no way to stop this. Talks are not even scheduled for today to try to resolve this issue. This is going to happen. And we heard the Biden administration saying they're not going to be stepping in. There's not going to be an executive order. They're just going to try to see if they can work it out on their own. And hopefully this is resolved here soon before we start to feel the pain and the pressure on the supply chain as we begin to see these ports not bringing in those goods. You're going to see here in a second, they're trying to do a workaround where they are moving these to the West Coast, but I'm going to share the video footage so you can see it for yourself. Charlie Jones, thank you for the $2 super chat. Do you think that it will affect gas prices too? Asked Charlie. Great question, Charlie. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think this is a lot of more of the imported materials coming in through the shipping containers. These are the primary materials and products that we're hearing that are going to be hit. As far as that goes, I'm not sure. I don't believe so. I haven't heard too much of it. I think it has more to do with the actual automotives themselves, the parts and things that are being shipped over. But let's go ahead and dive right in so you can see it for yourself. You can see the latest. And do me a favor, before we dive in again, please hit that like button, subscribe, additional resources in the description for you. And let's go ahead and take a look at this video so that way you can see it for yourself.
A strike by the International Longshoremen's Association is set to hit ports on the U.S. East Coast and Gulf of Mexico tomorrow. Join us now to discuss the potential disruption to the country's supply chains. David Kiesling, Vice President of Transportation Management at Kenco Group. This is, you expect this to happen, I guess, David, at this point, it's going to be tough to avert.
Yes, I don't think that there's been anything in the last 24 hours that says that either side is ready to negotiate, and I think at the end of the day today, we'll see some activity tomorrow morning.
What's the total percentage of goods that are covered by the ports that are going to see strikers across the U.S.? I mean, can the slack be taken up by other ports?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen, and, we are really focused on some leading and some lagging indicators, right, is that volume has already shifted to the West Coast. And our lead indicators are showing that over the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen container volume and vessel volume be similar to that of the peak in 2021 and 2022, which is almost 20,000 TEUs daily that have been handled by the West Coast ports. But historically, about 45% of the volume that is imported in the United States comes through, ports that would be affected by a work stoppage along the East Coast.
Is that one of the downsides for the ports affected? That does any of that shift become permanent, and does that taken into the calculus of the strikers?
I think that's an interesting thing, right? When you look at the industries that are affected, clearly automotive industry is affected, automotive assembly components in particular, right? There's apparel that has been affected. The whole Panama Canal was, widened and deepened so that these large ships could get from, the far west to the East Coast to eliminate that leg of internal movement inside of the United States or through the United States. So, automotive apparel and lastly pharmaceutical, and the normal actions that are taken for the automotive assembly plants, because we moved to a global just-in-time production model, is that they may air freight in the short term. They may also pull forward some of those scheduled shutdowns. Obviously from an apparel standpoint, it's more specialty retail rather than general merchandise like T-shirts, socks and underwear, right? And then pharmaceuticals, there's a big impact there because we need to monitor closely how that might impact patient care. But also, let's not forget about exports. Specifically pork and beef. Our ranchers here in the United States, they rely heavily on consistent volume of vessels being available load for export.
I can see how some of this would be both inflationary and deflationary if you're not exporting, just depending on what's more affected.
Correct. And, if you've read anything lately, everybody's talking about the price of bananas, right? In particular, that's clearly an import. But there could be some deflation as it relates to supply and availability of some, items, including pork and beef that may not be exported like they normally are today. You also said, what's the long-term impact? And I think, what we've learned from COVID is that, nearshoring continues to be an option. I think moving manufacturing, internally domestic to the United States obviously becomes an option as well. And I think what we've seen is, there's significantly less friction and complexity from a trade compliance standpoint when we move to Mexico or Central America, when goods continue to be manufactured outside of the U.S. rather than ended up consumed, here inside.
David, thank you. It seems like you have a very bird's eye view of exactly what might happen. Hopefully, nobody likes it.
About 45,000 dock workers who run major shipping ports across the U.S. could go on strike as early as tomorrow. If that happens, it could block millions of products from reaching store shelves. I want to bring in global economic correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Goodman, to break this down for us. He's also the author of How the World Ran Out of Everything. Peter, great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So first, for people who are just sort of tuning into this and picking this story up, what are some of the demands of the union?
The union is really focused on automation. For as long as companies have been operating vessels and moving around the globe, they've looked to use machinery as a way to limit their vulnerability to strikes. They'd rather pay robots than people. Robots don't demand breaks. They don't have sick children to look after. They don't have demands for wage increases. The other thing is they want hefty wage increases. They're looking at the fact that shipping carriers have been earning record profits for much of the last several years, going back to the disruptions of the pandemic, and they want a piece of the action.
And so what do the companies say who are resistant to the union demands?
The companies have been very quiet about the nitty-gritty because they don't want to inflame the union. I mean, this is a union that is historically quite militant. Their trick is to threaten commerce and effectively sabotage international trade as a way to get higher wage demands. So there's been not a lot of public discussion of the demands, but privately they say that the union is overplaying its hand and that it's looking for more than the dock workers union that represents West Coast port workers got in contract talks that were wrapped up last year.
All right, so now, ordinary folks who are seeing all of this play out, they're wondering how this could affect them. So should folks start stocking up on food and other goods? We're certainly talking about a ripple effect on product shipments. Even something I know it's probably frivolous for some people, but it does power the economy. People who buy things online and want them shipped, there's a reason people sign up for Prime on Amazon to get that free shipping, to get that next day shipping. How could goods across the country be impacted?
Well, it really depends how long this goes on. I mean, if this lasts a day or two, it won't be that big a deal. I mean, shippers have seen this coming for months, and so a lot of cargo has been diverted to other places, especially to the West Coast ports. You've got rail and trucking connections. Now, the rail didn't do so well during the pandemic disruptions, and they've cut a lot of capacity. And if this does go on a long time, then the West Coast ports could get congested. You could have a familiar constellation of events to people who remember the worst of the pandemic disruptions. Ships floating at anchor for weeks, waiting for their chance to load and unload at one of the big ports like Los Angeles and Long Beach. That could become a real problem at warehouses as containers pile up. But again, if this lasts just a day or two, that's unlikely to be a problem because a lot of cargo's already gone that route. Cargo that's on the way to East Coast ports, some of that's going to places like Mexico to be carried by rail and by truck up into the U.S. There are some backup plans, but they don't look very good if this goes on for more than a few days.
So, Peter, real quick before we let you go in 20 seconds,
Sure.
do you expect a positive resolution? Do you think that a deal will be reached?
It's really hard to know. I mean, we know that the White House has said they're not going to intervene. We know that the union looks ready to go ahead with this, but is this posturing before a deal? Let's wait and find out.
All right, Peter, always great to have you. Thanks for breaking that down for us. Really
Thank you.
interesting.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. They're saying it is automation issues. And also do me a favor, just put a 5x5. Make sure that I switch the mics correctly. Let me know, put a 5x5 if you can hear me and see me okay. That way I know the mics are switched correctly. And let me know your thoughts. Do you think that there is going to be some severe repercussions from this? I let you know that we're hearing them saying, no, they think that it's going to be fine. And we're hearing others saying that we could see supply issues and we could also see price hikes happening if they don't come to a resolution soon. And as I shared with you, what we're seeing is that we are nowhere near a resolution. Right now, like I said, they're saying this is imminent. This is going to start tonight. So within the next 24 hours, the strike is going to start. Actually, in the next, if you want to be specific, it's 4:45 p.m. So let's just say in 15 minutes, it'll be 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So in the next 7 hours, the strike is going to be starting. Shoppers are starting to stock up on essentials as they're fearing that prices are going to go higher than ever before. Port workers strike could snarl the supply chain and bust your holiday budget. And we're seeing this all over the news media outlets, like I said. And we are hearing, though, reassurance from the governor of New York saying that today they're prepared for a likely U.S. docker strike, reassuring consumers that they would not lose access to their food and other essentials, saying, don't worry, we've got it under control. We don't anticipate shortages of essential goods anytime soon, says the governor, Kathy Hochul. People do not need to rush out to the grocery store and stockpile for goods like they did during the pandemic. She is saying we have got it under control. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're going to be seeing some shortages? If so, put yes in the comments. If you think no, it's going to be fine, they're going to figure it out in time, and we won't be impacted by this, put no. If you think we're going to get hit, put yes. If you think no, put no. But we're hearing that it will be starting officially tonight. We will be seeing this strike unfold, you guys. So, and like I said, some of the things that we saw them specifically say is that there are going to be certain foods that are going to be impacted by this. There's going to be certain technologies, automotives, pharmaceuticals, medications. These are some of the ones that are going to be impacted if this sustains longer. And that is why also I mentioned lifesavervault.com, linked in the description below. If you or one of your loved ones needs additional medications, you might want to get access to that now and see if they're able to help you before we have issues with this supply chain, with the ports and all of the shipping containers not coming in. They're saying they're trying to maneuver them over to the West Coast, but they're expecting that if this sustains, the West Coast is going to be overloaded. The East Coast is going to be on strike along with the Gulf Coast. And we could see some issues unfold depending on how long this takes. And again, some are saying there could be supply issues. There could be price hikes. Others saying they don't think it's going to go that route. But we're hearing that the dock workers, the port workers, they are saying that they want to get pay increases. They want some support. They're concerned about the automation that is unfolding. And we're going to be seeing where we go from here. And all of this is taking place while in the backdrop, I'm keeping you up to date as well with all the conflict in the Middle East. We're hearing warnings of war happening with Israel, Iran, the United States, the proxy groups. There's also conflict with Russia and Ukraine. Potential cyber attacks are a concern, as today across the nation we saw outages from Verizon carriers along with several that have AT&T. Still no explanation as to why it was that unfolded. Verizon simply saying, we know there's a technical issue. We're working on it. And so I did a video on that earlier today. And also, we've got elections just right around the corner, in addition to everything else that is currently going on. So I will keep you up to date on the conflicts in the Middle East, on our economic issues, the strike that is going on, border issues, potential World War III, and our economy. So all of this going on. I will keep you guys up to date. I'll cite all the sources, link them, read right from them, put them on the screen so that way you can see them and you can know exactly what is going on. And also, Madison, thank you for the $5 super chat, and thank you to the others that have sent the super chats in as well. Hey, Steve, just ordered stuff from Timu. They told me that it could be a month since the port is out in New Jersey. Usually takes just 10 days. Yes, they're saying that this is going to start happening. So if you can get stuff locally, might want to stock up now. Anything that needs to be imported, it is going to be likely delayed, as they're taking everything from the east and the Gulf Coast, shipping it over to the West Coast, and they're saying depending on how long this takes, we will likely see impacts across the board in various areas. We're hearing 50% of imports are likely going to be impacted by this strike, and we haven't seen anything like this, they're saying, since 1977. So wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. I shared this with you about a week or so ago, and there's been no resolution, and we are going into a strike. So make sure that you are prepared. I always say on the channel, don't be scared, be prepared, know what's going on. Don't stick your head in the sand and pretend like nothing is taking place. Know what's going on, because knowledge is power, but I believe that the application of knowledge is the true power, us knowing exactly what is going on and then making sure that we are ready for whatever unfolds. So you guys, that is the latest. I'll be sure to keep you up to date. I'll let you know when there's some sort of resolution, if there's any talks that unfold, and also check out my previous videos if you were one of the people that got hit by that Verizon outage today. And also, I've got some updates for you as what we're hearing with the conflicts in the Middle East. Check those out on the channel. But that is the latest, you guys, and I'll keep you up to speed on everything as it unfolds. That is the latest. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.